Thanks, Sue. Joining me today are Trip Jennings, Executive Director at New Mexico In Depth, and Jessica Ansures, who is News Director for several of Gannett's newspapers in southern New Mexico. Glad to have you both here today.
Thank you.
In this first segment, we're going to play a series of clips from the governor's State of the State address on Tuesday. Then we're going to talk about what she said. So let's get to it. We all saw that soundbite from the opening of tonight's show, the one where she said, none of the rest of this session's work matters unless the state is a safe place for the residents. Trip, it is clear that this is a huge priority for the governor, but how do you expect some of her more controversial proposals to play out this session?
Well, I was reviewing the speech. I was up there Tuesday, and also looking at the political composition of the House and the Senate. Basically, the Democrats are handily in charge. I mean, 45 seats out of 70 in the House and 27 out of the 42 in the Senate. At the same time, you're going to have a really robust debate on like assault rifle ban on a 14-day waiting period, because even though you have, wide margins of Democrat control in the legislature, this is an issue where you're not going to see what I think some people might see as the political breakdown. Democrats, Republicans, that's not the case in New Mexico. It's going to be a really robust debate here.
There's more division in the Democratic Party about this. Maybe there's less than there used to be, but there is still a lot of division. We've got urban versus rural representation, things like that, right? Yes. Jessica, during last year's State of the State address, the governor got a standing ovation when she called for an assault weapons ban. This year, she got a similar applause break for her public safety package. But has the conversation changed about the topic of gun control in the past year? How is this resonating in southern New Mexico, too?
So I think if you look at southern New Mexico, and this goes back to the point you were making, urban versus rural, in our rural communities, we see guns as a cultural, historic, significant part of our everyday life. So when you talk about it in terms of bans, you're going to get an emotional reaction, and you're going to get this sense that the politicos in Santa Fe are doing everything they can to interrupt what we see as part of our everyday life. But I think to your question, Gwen, is this last year has shifted that conversation a bit, because we've seen in our smaller rural communities the impacts of guns. Look at what happened up in Farmington, a mass shooting where a high schooler, in a matter of minutes was able to cause massive destruction, including, killing 3 people and wounding a Farmington police officer. We've seen guns turned on children in communities, not only in Albuquerque, but if you look very closely, it's what's happening in our rural communities there as well. So I think it opens the door for people to be more, I don't want to say enthusiastic, but definitely more open to having the conversation about guns, about gun safety. And when you use the term automatic weapons or assault rifles or assault weapons, that's always going to be one of those catchphrases that is going to, stir up the blood. And I think, when you see applause for comments like that coming from the governor, you definitely see that there's probably opportunity for her and her administration to take it a little further.
Let's shift gears now for a minute and look at the governor's big statement on public education.
But we have to come together. And the priority here is our kiddos and their families. And it is time for New Mexico, in the same way that when we put our minds to anything, we become the best at it in the country. Why wouldn't we have the best public education outcomes, bar none, in the country? Well, that's my goal, and I hope that it is yours too.
As a state, New Mexico is not currently near the top of any of these public education lists. We are at the bottom. Now, the governor did mention that we've made progress on reading, a 4 to 5% increase in grades 3 through 8. But when she said she wanted us to be first in education, is this a setup for disappointment? I don't know. I'm going to go to you, Trip. What do you think?
I think this is my 19th session covering the New Mexico legislature. And basically people have been saying this for years. And I'm not trying to diminish or discount what she said, but where we are right now has been a succession of generations. This is not something that you solve in 40 years, in 2 years. This is going to be like a generational challenge yes, there's going to be work that's done at the legislative level, but schools are going to be, how do you implement like new programs, money going into schools? Do you create a pipeline for more, I'm going to say, indigenous teachers? There's a lot of different aspects to this very deep, complex conversation.
I have we heard from the governor, and I heard from House Minority Leader Ryan Lane, similar talk about literacy and a focus on literacy. Do you think there could be progress there? Trip?
Yes, but again, it's gonna take years. I think when you see a speech like a State of the State speech, this is trying to create momentum, trying to create, there's a messaging that's going across. Speaking of, like, we just talked about the ovation around guns, 31 seconds I counted. People stood up. That's an old news, reporter's trick, is counting, the seconds. But creating, it's a marketing. That they're trying to create this momentum in the legislature. At the same time, anybody who follows these issues knows that education, like a lot of issues that legislatures tackle, extraordinarily complex, complicated, generations of effort, money, but also curriculum. Also, I mean, there's so many aspects to education.
And yet politicians want immediate results that they can campaign on, right? The governor addressed the state's housing crisis several times during the speech. This is a kitchen table issue. Let's take a listen to this one.
Yet too often, housing development is stalled by a complicated web of zoning and permitting requirements that vary from city to city and county to county. To build for the future, we need to fund development, smart, fair, equitable development, and then we need to get, quite frankly, the hell out of our own way.
Lujan Grisham wants $500 million for 2 different programs. One, to build new houses. Number 2, the other is expanding home buying programs. And she wants to create a state office of housing. We think of this often, these housing issues, as a local issue, and it's a big issue in Albuquerque in particular. Are lawmakers from other parts of the state going to have an appetite for this? Jessica, what do you think?
I think the answer directly is yes. I mean, look at what's happening in Las Cruces. We have a significant deficit in the amount of housing units that are needed for that city's growing population and for its current population, honestly. They've had setbacks in terms of financing and executing housing development projects. And these are single family homes that are much needed. We're not talking about McMansions in the $200,000, $300,000 level. We are talking about sensible homes for New Mexican families. And so I do believe that if you poll across New Mexico, you're going to find support for growing that. Maybe even, support for beyond $500 million. It's a big number, but is it big enough to tackle the extreme need in the state? And honestly, I think if you're looking at southern New Mexico, the appetite is definitely there. If you're looking at northern New Mexico, particularly in our tribal regions, yes, the appetite is going to be there. And I think she kind of knocked it out of the park, all due respect to the governor, when it comes to highlighting an issue that's going to get a lot of support in the state.
And I think a lot of people watching the show will say $200,000 to $300,000. You can't buy a house in Albuquerque for that anymore. I mean, that shows you the difference around the state, but yes. the pressure is real.
Well, I think $200,000 to $300,000 homes, that's not realistic purchase price for anybody in Carlsbad and anybody in Hobbs and anybody in Lovington. So, right. But those are the types of homes being built.
Exactly. Now, the governor went off script while addressing 3 moments of protest during her address. Let's look at those.
Far too many young people find themselves locked into a situation where it's very hard to have clarity about the right steps forward. And rather, we all want a situation where we embrace differences of opinion, some discord, maybe a disruption or an interruption, while we recognize that we're not going to have all the answers to the world's problems, certainly not in today's speech, maybe not even in tomorrow's actions.
The governor was interrupted 3 times by protesters, members of the Youth United for Climate Crisis Action. They broke in with chants calling for action on climate change and a ceasefire in the months-long war between Israel and Hamas. How did the governor handle this? Tripp, I know you were there. Jessica, I'm sure you were watching. What did you think of how she handled it?
I mean, honestly, she, I thought handled it really well. She basically kind of said, "Hey, thank you for the protest. We're, these young people have a right for speech. We need to." I heard also we need to listen to them, but I thought she handled it with great aplomb. Frankly, didn't knock her off her stride at all. So I thought she handled it, like I said, very well. And it was a very peaceful thing. The security folks marched the folks out, and they gathered outside the Capitol and they chanted. And I know there was some maybe discombobulation among some people up at the Roundhouse, but
yeah, and I was in the gallery. I was watching, waiting for them to get roughed up, and they didn't appear to be. And whenever it's a First Amendment issue, reporters are the first to criticize. But yeah, that's a good take on it. I want to close this first discussion with this. The state auditor, Joseph Maestas, told the Santa Fe New Mexican it's a 30-day session. There's a 15-day cutoff for introducing new legislation, so it's going to be hectic. 15 days. That should put this short session into perspective. Is the governor asking too much from our elected officials by trying to pack a month-long budget session with proposals aimed at things outside of the budget, social issues, guns, housing? And does this bring back last year's talks to modernize the state legislature, extend the sessions, add paid staff, things like that? What do you think, Jessica?
Well, I certainly think it, as you pointed out, puts it into perspective and reinvigorates that conversation about, do we want to, quote unquote, modernize our legislature? Do we want to make it a less of a voluntary public body and more of a business of lawmaking? And there are some, there's some pros to that. They get more time to look at the legislation coming before them. They get more time to compromise on items and be smart about how they are spending New Mexico taxpayer dollars in a budget. But you're looking at 30 days. And if anything, this is probably going to be a proving ground for many of those measures she's trying to get across. We've got the full session coming up next year. We, as Tripp pointed out earlier, we have a kind of dynamic thing happening between Democrats and Republicans within both of the chambers, the House and the Senate. I'd be fairly surprised if most of these items made it to the finish line, but it's definitely going to be interesting to watch, if not chaotic and hectic.
Jessica Unzuris, thank you so much for that. And thank you, Tripp. I'm sorry to cut you short, but we have a packed show today. We'll be watching coverage from the Gannett papers and from New Mexico in Depth.